The dial clicked 3 times to the left, twice to the right, once more, and the safe exhaled like it had been holding its breath for years. I lifted the heavy lid, expecting the neat stack of crisp envelopes that held my entire future, $500,000 in protected government securities. Instead, the steel cavity stared back at me, cold and empty, like a grave that had already been robbed. My knees buckled. The room spun. I grabbed the edge of the dresser just to stay upright. My name is Alina. And for 32 years, I believed family was the one thing money couldn't buy. My little sister Mia and I grew up in a little blue house on Maple Street. The kind where the porch sagged in the middle, and the wallpaper peeled like old secrets. We shared everything. Bunk beds, secrets, the last slice of birthday cake. When Mom and Dad died in that crash on the icy interstate, we only had each other. The securities were the final gift they left me, locked in a trust until my 30th birthday. Bearer bonds, untouchable, unbreakable. Meant to be my parachute, if life ever pulled the ripcord too soon. I kept the safe bolted to the floor in my bedroom closet, hidden behind shoeboxes and winter coats. The combination was our childhood phone number backwards. A private joke only Mia and I would ever understand. I'd spun that dial 1,000 times, always smiling at the soft thunk of the lock giving way. That morning, though the thunk never came, the safe opened, but my future had vanished. Sunlight sliced through the blinds, painting stripes across the empty space. Dust floated in the beams like tiny ghosts of what used to be there. I ran my fingers along the velvet lining, searching for a crease, a corner, anything, nothing. My pulse hammered in my ears. I whispered her name into the silence. Mia, because who else could it be? She'd been staying with me for 3 weeks, just until I get back on my feet, she'd said, flashing that dimpled smile that always melted me. I remembered the way she'd lingered in my room the night before, asking about the safe for old time's sake. I'd laughed, told her it was boring grown-up stuff. She'd rolled her eyes, flopped on my bed, and scrolled through her phone while I showered. I never thought to lock the bedroom door. Why would I? She was my sister. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from Mia, running errands, back by dinner, love you. 3 heart emojis. My stomach twisted so hard I thought I'd be sick. I called her. Voicemail. Her bubbly greeting mocked me. Hey, it's MIA. Leave the drama at the beep. Drama. That's what she called my life now. I sank to the carpet, knees in the dust, and let the tears come. $500,000. Gone. My parents' last promise. Erased. The down payment on the cottage I'd circled in real estate magazines for months. Shattered. But worse than the money was the hole in my chest where trust used to live. I'd spent my whole life protecting Mia, bailing her out, believing her promises. And in one spin of a dial, she'd taken everything I had left of Mom and Dad. I closed the safe, spun the dial until it clicked shut, and stared at my reflection in the dark steel door. The woman looking back had puffy eyes and trembling lips. But something else flickered there too, something cold and sharp. I didn't recognize her yet, but I would. I drove to Mia's favorite coffee shop first, the one with the overpriced lattes and velvet couches. She wasn't there. I checked the boutique where she window shopped every weekend, empty. By the time I reached her apartment, across town, my hands shook so hard I could barely grip the steering wheel. The door was unlocked, music thumping inside like nothing in the world was wrong. There she was, sprawled across her new leather sectional in silk pajamas I'd never seen, surrounded by shopping bags that spilled like confetti, designer sunglasses perched on her head, diamond studs glinting in her ears. She looked up and smiled, bright, careless. You're early. Want to see my new? What did you do? Mia. My voice cracked like thin ice. She blinked, tilted her head. What do you mean? I told you, errands. The safe is empty. I stepped over a bag from a store that costs more per square foot than my rent. $500,000 in bonds. Gone. Her smile faltered, just for a second. Then the mask slid back into place. Wow. That's awful. You sure you didn't move them? Don't? I pulled out my phone, showed her the photo I'd taken of the empty safe. You're the only one who knows the combination. She stood slowly, arms wrapping around herself like a shield. You're accusing me? Your sister. Who else? My voice rose, raw. You've been living in my house, wearing my clothes, eating my food, and now this. Tears welled in her eyes. Instant, perfect. I can't believe you'd think that. After everything I've been through. That's when I saw it, the flicker of calculation behind the crocodile tears. I'd seen it before, when she was 16 and swore she hadn't taken Mom's pain pills. When she was 22 and cried that her boyfriend forced her to max out my credit card. Always the victim. Always my fault for not understanding. I left before I said something I couldn't unsay. That night I hired a private investigator, the kind who charges by the hour and doesn't ask questions. 48 hours later, he sent me a file that made my blood run cold. Photos, Mia sliding my envelopes across a pawnbroker's counter. Bank records, $450,000. Deposited into an account with her name and her new boyfriend's. Texts, Bali in 2 weeks, babe. First class. I confronted her again, this time in her apartment. Evidence spread across the coffee table like a deck of cards. She crumbled fast. I was drowning. Alina, the drugs, the debt. I didn't have a choice. You had me, I whispered. You could have asked. You always say no, she screamed, mascara streaking. Perfect Alina with her perfect job and perfect life. You don't know what it's like to need. The words hit like punches. Need. She needed designer bags and diamond studs and a condo with a view. I needed the last piece of my parents. For weeks I barely functioned. I called in sick, stared at the ceiling, replayed every moment I'd let her in. The grief was a living thing, clawing at my ribs. How do you mourn someone who's still breathing? How do you forgive someone who blames you for their crimes? Then one morning I woke up and the tears wouldn't come. The pain was still there, but it had edges now, sharp enough to cut with. I wasn't going to let her rewrite this story with tears and excuses. My parents taught me to protect what was mine. Time to honor that. I didn't scream. I didn't slash tires or leak her secrets online. Revenge, real revenge, is surgical. I gathered every document. The investigator's report, pawnshop receipts, bank transfers, Mia's own texts bragging about her windfall. I walked into the Federal Credit Union where the bonds were issued and filed a theft report. Bearer bonds are like cash. Whoever holds them, owns them, but cashing stolen ones is fraud. Federal fraud. 3 days later, detectives knocked on Mia's condo door. She opened it in yoga pants and a smoothie, smiling, until they read her rights. The smoothie hit the floor, green splatter across white marble. The look on her face, pure, animal shock, is etched into my soul. The bonds were frozen. Every dollar clawed back. Condo deposit reversed. Car repossessed. Designer wardrobe auctioned to repay the broker who'd unknowingly fenced stolen securities. Mia faced felony charges, up to 7 years. Our aunt offered bail. I asked her not to. Some lessons you learn in a cell. At the preliminary hearing, Mia begged across the courtroom. Alina, please. I'm your sister. I met her eyes, voice steady. Sisters don't empty each other's futures. She took a plea, 2 years probation, full restitution, mandatory counseling. The judge ordered $500 a month for 83 years. She'd be 90 before the debt is clear. I sold the safe, donated the proceeds to a women's shelter, bought the cottage anyway, smaller, mine. The first night, I hung a photo on the wall. Mom and Dad, on graduation day, Mia cropped out. Not hate. Healing. Mia still calls on birthdays, voice small, asking to start over. I let it ring. The cottage is quiet. The garden blooms, and my new safe holds memories, photos, letters, things no one can cash in. Some betrayals break you open, but what spills out can be stronger than what was stolen. Blood isn't a free pass. It's a promise to protect, not prey. The fiercest justice isn't punishment. It's choosing peace over poison. If someone you love has gutted your trust, know this. Your worth isn't in what they took. It's in what you rebuild. Hold tight to that. And maybe, just maybe, change the combination.